From the southernmost point of Dorne to the lands of always winter, and what is west of Westeros in the shadows of the east, this is Casterly Talk, a very special edition because we've got the official House of the Dragon teaser trailer to discuss. Fun episode, we're just going directly to it. Why did I break up the word directly? Because it sounds dramatic, right? Because that's what this trailer is. Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Or maybe you're watching on YouTube and you might see I'm just a man in a Night's Watch hat. Hey, what are the Night's Watch doing during the House of the Dragon? I want to find out. Actually, honestly, as big of a fan of the Night Watch I am, I think I'm okay if we don't spend any time with the Night Watch. That's a question for another day. We've got some big stuff to get to. If you're just checking me out here, you might know me from Force Center. You might know me from Saturday Night Napzok, Pop Rockin' Radio, or maybe you don't know me at all. I am a very dedicated, passionate, celebratory Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire fan. Flaws and all. Books that aren't coming and all. And I'm so excited for this show coming our way on HBO Max. Choose your plan, August 21st. We're all just feeding the marketing. Let's just call it what it is. A day after, at the time of this recording, a day after the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer dropped for Star Wars Day, the excitement's still bubbling and burbling through our hearts. We got this trailer. And it kind of caught me off guard, which is silly because the House of the Dragon official Twitter handle started teasing and then started dropping these excellent character posters, and they've been doing that a lot. And we're going to talk about that here at the end of this little episode about the marketing of the series, what they need to do, what they might be trying to do, all those kind of things. But then the trailer dropped, and again, I shouldn't have been surprised. It seemed like they were working towards that, but it was a pleasant surprise nonetheless to sit down with some coffee and watch the official House of the Dragon teaser trailer. We had a little, a couple of those before, official ones, of course. These aren't fan edits, friends. And I wanted to, on the show today, just do a quick direct episode, 5 key points from the House of the Dragon trailer. These aren't necessarily complete breakdowns and Easter eggs. There's a lot of other wonderful channels, a lot of other wonderful pundits and experts and podcasters that do that kind of stuff. I also always recommend checking out the great websites, Winter is Coming and Watchers on the Wall to get up-to-date Game of Thrones news, Song of Ice and Fire news. I'm just part of a larger ecosystem here. But I wanted to pull out what I think are 5 key points from this trailer that set the tone for this series. Ask big questions, tell us what might be some of the bigger themes, what the show might be dealing with, and just things that kind of got me excited in terms of the overall picture of the show. So with no particular order, we'll work on through this here. I first want to go to the trailer, the picture that's the thumb here, but where the trailer kind of begins. And this is, of course, Princess Rhaenyra, who is the daughter of Viserys I, the first of his name. And yes, we'll be doing breakdowns. I want to kind of get everyone up to speed on some of these characters as we lead towards House of the Dragon. This is the story of the Dance of the Dragons, of course. But the fact that this trailer kind of begins. Now, I want to say this up top to those who are familiar with the story going in. There is 2 parties. This is a Targaryen civil war that's about to explode. Doesn't mean everyone involved has Targaryen as the last name, of course. We have, famously, the blacks and the greens, as you'll discover why. The dresses, which we've already seen in photos and in this trailer. The dresses that will determine the colors of the sides here. And the blacks are Princess Rhaenyra's team, for lack of a better term. And then on the other side, the greens, Alicent Hightower, who, of course, comes from the great Hightower family, who we haven't really spent time with before. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, definitely have heard of them more in the books, of course. And Alicent, long story short, and we're going to talk, well, I do want to talk about really setting the table for this series. But we've got Alicent, who is the second wife of Viserys first, her son, Aegon II. She feels, Aegon should be king. Whereas Viserys at one point, as we see in this trailer, named his daughter Rhaenyra the heir. which is a little unusual in this land. She has her uncle slash husband. Oh no, those Targaryens are at it again, or at least they've always been at it, I guess we could say. He is the prince of the city, and that, of course, is her uncle Daemon Targaryen. Now, so that is Matt Smith playing the Prince of the City. There we got Emma Darcy playing the grown-up Princess Rhaenyra, and we've got Millie Alcock playing the younger version, and we see both of them. We talked about that on a previous episode here with Alden Diaz. Just excellent casting there. But this is a key point to me that the trailer, this particular trailer, highlights the tale of Princess Rhaenyra, who is told directly that men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend the throne. That is going to be a big driving goal and perhaps her biggest obstacle, you would say. She is the rightful heir, as named by her father. And I don't think the show is going to ask us to choose a side. You might want to choose a side. I already have some favorites going in, but these delicious shades of gray that George R. R. Martin has already got us excited for, and not just in his overall series, but in this show, he has some stuff out there in the media of we got complicated gray characters, and everyone who loves this world loves those characters. So I think you're going to find reasons to root for both teams, if you will. But I really think it's interesting that the trailer does really begin with, and I'm playing the trailer in the background. I apologize for that. The trailer does begin with Rhaenyra and perhaps her point of view, setting up her quest to be the queen of this land because it is her right. She's been named the heir. You have this great scene. We already see it, and we'll talk about some of the familiar names, but you see other great houses bending the knee, pledging fealty to her if she were to become queen, or at least respecting her father's wishes at this point in time. I love that this could be her point of view could be the big driving point of a lot of the show. Again, I am not, if you're an Alicent Hightower fan, if you're out there listening or watching, think, no, Aegon II, he should be the rightful king. They're not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that this trailer really puts that perspective. This is something that she feels. She's been told. She has been given this right by blood. But as we hear at the end of the series, history doesn't remember blood. It remembers names. She's got the name too. She's got the blood. She's got it all. She deserves this. Unlike Daenerys Targaryen a little bit later on in the history of this world here. But she's not going to be able to just simply ascend to the throne, to keep it, to hold on to it, to have everyone's love and support. It's not just a big obstacle, it's a big giant theme. And I think the show is going to really dig in that perspective on how Westeros treats its women. And spoiler, not very good. That is something I think was an underlying theme of the life and times of Cersei Lannister, Sansa Stark, Arya Stark, and Daenerys Targaryen, among many other characters in the previous show. I think it is a big underlying theme that the show didn't really, it highlighted, it put it out there, some great moments and great lines. I think at times it might have been too subtle, lost in the war for the throne, and the Game of Thrones were all there. But I like that this trailer comes directly at us and says, here is this person who has a right to this land, has been named the heir. Love that shot. Absolutely love that shot of Rhaenyra in front of the painted table, which, of course, has been reworked here with a lot of candles, a lot of lava. It is truly a table worthy of a fire and blood type of series here. This is her land. This is her realm. These are her 7 kingdoms. And it's just not going to be a matter of, it's simple and you got to fight for it. It's how the world's going to treat her and how she's going to fight back to that, and diving into everything around that. I just think that's an interesting point for this trailer to be coming right out and saying, again, not choosing sides here. There's a lot to be said about the old Hightowers and Alicent and her claim, and I think that's what's going to play out in the show, obviously, and we know they go back a ways. We're going to see the trailer. We know has already confirmed things we're very aware of, that I think are going to be spending some quality time in the past with Viserys. Patty Considine playing Viserys the First, and then we are going to have the young Rhaenyra, young Alicent, and we're going to see their relationship devolve from there as they battle for the throne. So that's my first big thing to take away from this trailer. That this is not. I'm not saying this trailer positions Rhaenyra as the main character. Like say, I do feel at the end of the day, Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen were the main characters, but it ain't, just even in saying that, just because it's a Song of Ice and Fire, you might undercut all the other wonderful characters, including Sansa Stark, Arya Stark, even Bran, for what it's worth. So I don't want to come out and say, hey, this trailer shown that the main character, the main point of view is Rhaenyra Targaryen, but I think it's very interesting that this trailer definitely, I think, comes from her perspective. This pursuit of legacy, again, saying history does not remember blood, it remembers names. Does sound like that is coming from the mouth of the Prince of the City himself, Matt Smith playing Prince Daemon Targaryen. We have this great shot of him outside Dragonstone, a little bit of a dragon egg. Wonder if he got that from thinkgeek.com clearance sale back in the day. Maybe, maybe not. And this is, I love this idea of this pursuit of legacy and how history does not remember blood, it remembers names, and how much that is going to affect the small folk, and how much like the other series, was about the powerful trying to gain more power, and those that that got trampled underneath that wheel that would not break. I wonder how much the show is going to deal with that here, because there is a potential to set up some bigger events that do play out in George R. R. Martin's history book, Fire and Blood, Volume 1. And, well, I guess you could just say Fire and Blood if the second book's going to be Blood and Fire. There's some things that if no one's read, I don't want to go into, where it just, the small folk in the city definitely have some opinions on the games being played way above them. But that this is going to be driving this Targaryen civil war, this pursuit of legacy. We have the name, but what is their legacy? What is it about? And I think that's going to be something that will play into the show. Obviously, if they're saying it, but again, highlighting it in the trailer, I thought that was really important and really fun. And this pursuit of legacy, and how Rhaenyra can't pursue her own legacy. So the other thing I want to pull from this, another key point I already kind of touched upon a little bit, but also goes to an interview I was reading about Olivia Cook and her, who's playing Alicent Hightower, and her involvement in the show, and how she's said here, and you can go to Watchers on the Wall to get a recap of the interview here, like I am. She was speaking with Telegraph and also IndieWire, and saying that she wouldn't feel comfortable in being part of anything that has just egregious, graphic violence towards women for no reason whatsoever, just because they want to be tantalizing in a way that gets viewers. That is a big swipe at the show that came before, and it's not an inaccurate swipe. I've said before, and I'll say it again, the HBO series Game of Thrones was developed, produced, and aired in a different era. Now, it's stretched into a more modern era, but because it first aired in 2011, it was developed years before that. Our tastes as viewers has changed. Our expectations have changed, and what we want to see these shows do in dealing with some of the big themes, a lot of which are violence, a lot of which are just evil acts perpetrated on so many characters, and a lot of female characters in the show. That's going to be there, and this show is going to be full of it. But I really think this show is going to set a different tone. And the fact that, again, this trailer highlights this line: men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend to the throne. That's something that was absolutely prevalent in Game of Thrones the first time around. Absolutely, I think key to Dany's story. Nothing changed in those 200 years, but I think this show might analyze that in a different way than the main show, and analyze it on a kind of a higher intellectual level, a higher spiritual level. I really believe that this show will play with some of those themes, and look at the land, look at the men of this land, and what they're trying to do in this pursuit of legacy. Again, I don't think it's just setting up plot points to say this. This trailer highlighting this line: men would sooner put the realm to torch than see a woman ascend to the throne. has a lot to do with Rhaenyra's story, of course, but I think it's setting the tone for what the show's going to be discussing and breaking down and analyzing, which is part of the fun, a part of what we're here. So there you go. And again, Viserys the first names Rhaenyra his heir. This we know. We see the great houses swear fealty, and how that maybe just as no one cares when it really comes down to it, following what happens to Viserys, which is one of the other key things to pull from this trailer. This just comes down to a little bit of a plot pointy, not even an Easter egg, but a plot pointy kind of thing here. We see what I do believe. I think we can say spoiler alert for those who just have no idea what's coming in the show. It looks like the funeral, perhaps the death of Viserys first. It could be someone else, to be clear, but it looks like it here. Looks like we're at the bottom of King's Landing here, maybe even at the Blackwater Bay here, saying goodbye to Viserys. This is a key thing I think we all need to know going into the show. Viserys ain't going to be around for a long time. His death is going to put everything into a whirlwind of spinning chaos. And despite the fact that he has named Rhaenyra his heir, his wife Alicent is going to have some thoughts on that. And a lot of other people around each of these characters are going to have some thoughts on that. And this is going to spin it off. So the fact that we know that we're seeing this, we know we have to get it, we know it's key to the story, just makes me wonder, how soon are we going to see it in the show? Are we going to only see Viserys in early episodes, or are we going to have kind of dual timelines? Some people love that. I don't look at them as just simply flashbacks, like say a flashback that might have, the one that started season 5 of Game of Thrones, or the ones we got with the Three-Eyed Raven, the Blood Raven, and Bran in season 6 and beyond. I recently was used to, I thought, great effect, but some people didn't like it in the Book of Boba Fett. You could call them flashbacks. They are, script writing tools, I guess, if you want. But I think I'm starting to think that this show might stretch out the storyline of Viserys at first and young Rhaenyra and Alicent and their relationship, and play it against what's happening. We see in this trailer, we see what looks like Alicent going at Rhaenyra with a knife. Great moment. So we know that's there. We know that rivalries happen. But I would love the show to be in the past and analyzing how what they were and how the split, how the split happened, and just the tragedy of that split happening, and how at one point they were friends and close and family, whatever you want to call it, and to see it from there. So very interesting that right away, I think we're seeing could be the funeral. We definitely know there's going to be this death. We have to have this death. The dance of the dragons happens because of Viserys' death. But to cast someone like Paddy Constantine and put him in this show, I hearing the casting originally, I thought, we might just have him episode 1, episode 2. But I'm starting to think we might have these dual timelines. What do you guys think? What do you want? What would work? I'm open to what the creators want to do to tell this story, but I think it would be very effective to have the storyline in 2 different eras and intertwine them, have these interwoven storylines all through the series, and see where they connect up, and then see where you take that forward. Do you always need to go back in subsequent seasons? I don't think so. I don't necessarily think so. But I'm open to this idea. I really like that, and I thought that was interesting to see that in the trailer. One of the final big things here is something we've been talking about here on the series, on Casterly Talk about the series, and that is the continued relationship with that show. Yes, HBO's Game of Thrones. It's interesting to look at. Interesting thing to look at. There's an interesting dynamic at play. If you're watching me here, you're most likely not just a casual fan. If you're listening to me here, you're most likely not a casual fan. But a casual fan is what the success of all these shows are built on. I don't like to use that term casual fan as some sort of dirty word. We need those casual fans. That's how we get those ratings. That's how we're analyzing season 4 Game of Thrones right now on the rewatch. That's how in season 4, each week was setting the viewership mark. 6.5 million, 6.8 million, 6.9 million, 7.1 million, about midway through season 4. Every week they were setting the tone. And those are casual fans. And those casual fans, who, by the way, when I say casual, those are people who are still might be buying T-shirts, hats, Funko Pops. They're not missing an episode. They're having Game of Thrones viewing parties. They're just maybe not starting their own podcast. They're not reading all the books and maps. They might get confused with some of the names, but they still watch every week. Those fans have a different relationship to the show. I think more of them like season 8 than others, but a lot of them probably, I don't know. I don't know about that. And I saw a video or saw some on Facebook where it didn't work. There was a coffee cup on the table. I don't know. I didn't like it. So the show has to find that balance. And this trailer really answered some questions, not just how the show looks, but how the show is trying to say, hey, same world, some of the same names, but a new, not just era, but a new story. So we see things that we are used to before. King's Landing, of course. I already showed the picture of Dragonstone, but the King's Landing with a nice dragon flying by. We have got, again, that shot of Dragonstone, which, as Stannis Baratheon, just looks beautiful. We know the Iron Throne is there. That has been used in marketing already, and we know it very much looks like the Iron Throne that we know so well, just a lot more swords around. The Red Keep, everything looks the same. And they, without a doubt, I'm not surprised by that. But this trailer really kind of lets you know it is very much the same world. Whether or not all of the canon and all the timelines will be 100% synced up, we'll see about that. But beyond just seeing it, beyond just seeing a castle we know, a land we know, dragons we know, armor we know, sigils we know, the fact that this trailer highlighted a Stark and a Baratheon bowing before Princess Rhaenyra, Viserys first. You got Corlys Valeron here. We know he's been in the marketing. That's a new character. So you highlight him, but sandwich him between a Stark and a Baratheon. And those names being highlighted. I wouldn't expect Starks and Baratheons to have a lot to do with this show. Go back to what I was saying at the top. I'm not expecting even my beloved Night's Watch to have a lot to do with this show. I don't think we're going to smash cut up to the Lands of Always Winter and see the Night King just hanging out. Maybe he has an opinion on this. But it's very interesting that this piece of marketing wanted to let you know the places and the names are the same. There's just something more coming for you. More names to learn. There's even at the end of it a hint of the main theme. Ramin Djawadi, that absolute rock star that he is doing the music for this series. And that's a question I have. That's a question a lot of us have. All right, how close is he going to get? Is he going to pull a lot of the other themes and motifs from the previous series, especially with a lot of the Lannister stuff? What's the main theme? What is the intro going to be? What opening graphic package are we going to have? We're going to have a map. I kind of hope. I kind of want to be its own thing, but I kind of want to see that at play again. But this trailer ends with the familiar strains of the Game of Thrones main theme. It doesn't highlight it, doesn't come out and jump right at you and slap you in the face, but it's there. Starks, Baratheons, King's Landing, Dragonstone, dragon eggs, dragons. It ends with this dragon, this big moment there with Prince Daemon at the end, and the theme comes in. Really let you know, hey, were you a fan of that previous show? We want you. We're going to need you. But that goes to my big question about the marketing going forward. I think they've been doing a great job. I really like this idea of giving you the names, whether or not it sets you up for a little bit of failure later on where this doesn't have a lot of Starks and Baratheons and other families that you know running around. We'll see. Time will tell. But it's setting that tone, saying it is the same world. And they're doing this good job with putting out these character posters. We've seen the castings. We've seen, hey, this is Sir Criston Cole. This is who he is, and they know they need to do it. But it's interesting. I've had some conversations with these passionate yet casual leaning fans who are excited for the series, but they're just not sure what's happening. Now, answers will be provided once the show starts. I don't think the show has to worry too much about that. But I think it's important for even us here at Casterly Talk and anyone else out there discussing the show at your office, your break room, or the coffee shop, anyone you're discussing the show with. we shouldn't assume, number one, that it's just, oh, it's the Dance of the Dragons. It's the Targaryen Civil War, the big one. Choose one, but this is the biggest one. We shouldn't just assume that that is known, even though some of it was mentioned in HBO's Game of Thrones. And HBO knows that they just can't assume that. I go to some of the Star Wars marketing where I'm so steeped in that lore and so in that world. It's just, I know down to sometimes the week where these episodes or these shows or movies are. Not everyone knows that. And that is not a bad thing. And I think we need to remember that. I've had several conversations about the timeline of Solo, the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series, where it is. They've said several times, it's about 10 years after, but 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, what does that mean? What's that? Not everyone's studying these timelines. And I think going forward, as we lead up to August 21st, I just wonder, and I hope that the team behind this really takes that into consideration, and that we in our conversations take that into consideration. It could be very accidentally gatekeepery if you're just like, that's Viserys the First. That's Princess Rhaenyra. It's the show, I think, might just simply have to come out and say, leading into the show, again, once you get to episode 1, I think you're on your own. As a fan, hey, the plot's going to roll out in front of you, the names are going to roll out in front of you. But I think leading in, I think HBO should even do itself more of a favor and just be more direct. And I'm not saying they won't, but this is King Viserys the First. He has this daughter. He is married to this person. He says this person, his daughter, should be the queen when he passes on. His wife wants her son, her half-brother. She's got an uncle on her side. You got the Hightowers on this side. You got Corlys on this side, the old sea snakes on this side. This death is going to rain chaos down on the entire situation, and that is what this show is about. It is another war for the throne. It is a search and quest for legacy. It is about power. It is about how this land treats the women of its land, even the women in power. It's about all these big, giant, wonderful things. But here are the nuts and bolts of the series. Here's what you're about to be watching. Because I've already had some discussions with folks who are like, I don't know what's going on. And lest we forget, go back to season 1 of Game of Thrones, all the way back in 2011. I personally don't find it hard once the names roll out in front of you. That's that character. This is this character. The show does its best to tell you where they all fall on the map. The opening intro shows you where it's all happening. Not everyone picks up on that, and you shouldn't expect everyone to pick up on that. The complaint for the first season of Game of Thrones, and even into the second season, was all the names and places are just confusing. The lore is rich. The history of the land is rich. The characters speak of it as if it's history we all should know. And they do a good job of getting that exposition out. I really believe that. And I think this show will do it as well. But we can't forget that. And that's why here on Casterly Talk, I want to do some real direct show, get ready for the show kind of episodes where we really kind of lay it out and really kind of lead up to this event. We'll see where the show goes, where the details change from some of the histories and some of the wikis we can go online and read about. But I'm really curious, and this teaser trailer really made me think about that a lot. How it went out of its way to say King's Landing, Dragonstone, Starks, Baratheons, but have they made it clear yet what is actually about to happen? I think they're setting the tones and the stakes, but who are the players? They're trying. The tweets are good, but not everyone's going to see those tweets. Not everyone's going to see the Instagram marketing, and not everyone's going to watch the trailers. But can they handle that going in? I think they will. And I think once people get to the show, it's all fine. It's one thing that kind of came up from the trailer today. So there you go. That's my quick look at things that I wanted to discuss and picked up on from this great trailer. But what a fun time as we lead towards August 21st. More breakdowns to come. Like I said, we're going to get you ready. The Game of Thrones rewatch continues. We'll pick up on that. We're in the middle of season 4. So if you're watching, we appreciate that. Thanks so much. If you have a question or a thought, reach out to me on Twitter at Ken Napzok. Use the hashtag Casterly Talk. If you want to, you can also like on Facebook, where we have a Casterly Talk page. You can support me directly at patreon.com/Ken Napzok. From there, you can get into the Discord, where you can discuss Game of Thrones with others and me daily. We have a section for Casterly Talk there. Pretty soon, a House of the Dragon spoiler section. Don't forget, we will be covering Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. A lot of rings, a lot of lords, a lot of dragons. We'll be covering Rings of Power here on the show as well, just because, hey, I love it. Show's coming out. Let's do it. Let's discuss that world over here as well. But for the most part, we will be talking, breaking down, and celebrating the wonderful world of Game of Thrones as we race towards House of the Dragon. That's it for now. We'll see you next time, my friends, here on Casterly Talk.